you hear that and you go, oh, a pitchfork start coming out. You haven't even heard what I've said yet. This is a COVID issue. The issue itself is not COVID. COVID is the cause of, of this. And I'm looking at the solution, right? So we've seen a massive outbreak of COVID in all of the major sports leagues, aside from the MLB, because obviously they're not playing, and they probably never will again. That's for another episode. The NHL is canceling games. The NBA is canceling games. The NFL hasn't canceled a game, but there's a lot of fucking cases popping up. The Lions have had 14 positive COVID cases over the last few weeks. The Browns, I think, had 22 something players in the last 2 days test positive that aren't going to be able to play, including Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield. Jalen Ramsey, Odell Beckham Jr., all have tested positive. It's getting bad, and we're getting to a point now, and this is with a league with a 93% vaccination rate. Okay, because breakthrough cases happen, especially in the close quarters of a training facility. And this is not me trying to say, the vaccine works or doesn't work. If you guys have listened to the show before, me and Brad, pro-vaccine, we think you should just get it. But at this point, I'm not screaming from the rooftops anymore about it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Adhere to the rules that are set out, whatever. Great. So my thing, Brad, is what do we do now with this? Because I don't want to lose sports again.
No.
But it certainly seems like we might be getting to that point due to the fact, the NHL is postponing and canceling games. The NBA is postponing and canceling. The NFL hasn't done it yet, but man, teams are running out of players to the point where they can't suit up a full 52 men unless they pull some random dude off the street. So what is the solution? And I'm not smart enough to think of it, but I do think a solution is needed to at least tweak the policy. Because I don't think, the NBA and NHL maybe can shut down, but I don't think they will. Because they're going to want to make those. They want those games. The owners aren't going to let them cancel those games. They want the money. But I think the NBA with Christmas is coming up. The Christmas Day is aside from playoffs is the biggest regular season day for the NBA because they have all the Christmas games. It's a big deal for them. And what happens if 3 of the games get canceled because of COVID?
Right.
It's a disaster. And it's the same thing for the NFL. It's December. December football is where you play they always say, the one thing Lions fans have wanted forever is play meaningful games in December. What happens? The Browns are right in the hunt for a playoff spot. Are they supposed and now they're playing a game this week with half their starters out.
Right.
This Thursday, Chandler Jones, probably the best defensive player on the Chiefs, is not playing against a division rival in the Chargers who are trying to make a case for themselves as being one of the better teams in the AFC and trying to secure a wild card spot. It's a big difference. I've heard some ideas float around about if they're vaccinated, you just don't test them until they're symptomatic. And, the non-vaccinated policy, you got to test every day, sure. Keep that in place.
Because you think about you and I, right? Yeah, I'm around people, and I have a job where I work with the public, right? And it's a weird because first off, I don't get I'm vaccinated, not boosted, but I'm vaccinated, and I get
boosted. Friday. Kick my ass.
I know. Well, we've been waiting for the semester to end, so we're probably gonna do it then, right? Because you have some time off. But and here's my thing too, and I'm gonna get into another point, but we don't get tested every day, right? You and I. I'm not gonna, whereas they are, because it's more of a health risk. They're around people more often.
Well, and it's also the NFL is trying to prevent outbreaks.
Exactly. Well, exactly. You're trying to prevent something worse.
The solution is treat them like everyday people.
I understand not getting a booster shot until the end of the season. That sort of like if I were an athlete, I would not want to get vaccinated mid-season unless I'm on like a bye week or something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just because of it's kind of an inconvenience, right?
You'd have to do it on like a Monday after
the
game.
Well, right, exactly. Well, and then at the same time, like you're losing training because now you got to take kind of a day off or a lighter day, I should say. I don't know how like athletes work, right? But you know what I'm saying? Like for you and I, it's an inconvenience. I feel like for an athlete that depends on their body, like that is going to be an inconvenience to them. Like that makes sense, right? Like that's why I think that's why you gotta hit the nail right in the head at the beginning of the season. Like before the season ends, before it starts, you gotta get right on it. And like, I don't know, it goes back to the MLB last season, and obviously like COVID, was kind of on a lower, and now we got all the these people won't get vaccinated, so now we got variants and shit like that coming out, right?
Yep.
With the MLB, that Joe Biden and the MLBPA and the MLB got together and they were like, listen, Biden told him, like, if you postpone your season by a month, we can guarantee that every player in your league would be vaccinated by the first day
to get vaccinated
by the beginning of the season. And the MLB said no. And I was
I don't understand, because you got to look at it from a business perspective.
Right.
Like, keep your players.
At the same time, though, the MLB
and don't cancel games.
And we thought that COVID, it ended up working out for him because we thought that COVID was going to be worse than it was. Because at the time, like, you didn't know what like the 4-month outlook of this thing was. Like, you didn't know what was going to happen. You had no idea. And now it's starting to rise again. And I think that's where like this pressure looms, really, is like you're seeing like, again, like the Lions had a COVID and a flu outbreak at the same time. And I think that like a big part of it too is that we have become so so tired of this thing. And so many people are not wearing masks. Like I still go out to restaurants all the time and I'm vaccinated and I wear a mask. Like that's just how I am. Until I sit down, I wear a mask. That's just, I don't know. It's not like an inconvenience for me to put a cloth over my face. And so like, whereas some people like just are done with it. Like they don't, or they haven't worn it since the beginning. And I think like, it's just the lack of rules and the lack of, like everything as like, and this is gonna sound terrible, and I'm gonna come off like an idiot for this or whatever. But I think that like if you go to a sporting event, if you go to a concert, if you go to a sporting event, if you go to wherever the hell you're going, I'm sorry, but you should be vaccinated. Because there's no way for venues to pull this like fancy dance between both being vaccinated and not being vaccinated and wearing a mask. Like there's no way to enforce wearing a mask.
I'll say this, because I don't want to get, like I said, I'm not trying to go down the COVID rabbit
hole. I'm not trying to alienate people, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole either.
I just don't. Like, it's not. I care, but I also don't have the energy for it anymore. I've done enough arguing over it.